Pokemon Legends ZA has the worst ranked mode I have ever played in my entire life. In fact, I can say with no exaggeration, I think it is the worst ranked mode that has ever been created. And trust me, I have a lot of experience playing really bad multiplayer games. I've hit rank 1 in Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel probably 30 times. This includes formats where you watch your opponent play for 10 minutes straight only to surrender immediately on your first draw. You could easily go 2 hours without playing a single card, and that was much more fun than this. I played Ranked Smite, a MOBA that's already really bad, but even worse, the player base is so small that there is no upper end. So you will have ranked games where it's 2 pro players and 3 guys who are new to the game versus 5 people who play every once in a while, and that's considered a balanced match. And although not ranked, I have even played Gen 1 Uber's format, where the only Pokemon that matter are Mew and Mewtwo, where it is a legitimate strategy to get your Mewtwo paralyzed so that you can stall longer before running out of moves. And still, Legends ZA is by far the worst multiplayer game I've ever played. It's not even close, and it's not just me. I have friends who genuinely like the game. I know, true psychopaths, and even they describe the ranked mode as literal torture, which it is. So why would I even play it to begin with if it's this bad? Do I just like torture? Well, given I play Yu-Gi-Oh!, the answer to that is obviously yes. But other than that, the game locks legitimate content behind the ranked mode. In order to get the Mega Evolutions for the Kalos starters, you must achieve a certain rank within the season to acquire the stones. And the whole point of this game are the Mega Evolutions. There's no other reason to play it. And the Kalos starters includes Greninja, one of the most beloved Pokemon of all time. It has won multiple #1 Pokemon polls. It is in Super Smash Bros. This is something Little Timmy is gonna want to have. And in order for Little Timmy to Mega Evolve his favorite Pokemon, he's going to have to shell out 20 bucks for that Nintendo Online. And then he doesn't just have to play, he's got to win, sort of. We'll get to that. Now, I'm not Little Timmy, so this doesn't really explain why I'm playing this. The thing is, I've watched a lot of reviews of this game. I had my own review, and the only people who actually played the multiplayer are Nintendo fanboys. Probably because they're the only ones willing to try it, but I cannot let the online consensus be that the worst multiplayer game I have ever played is good. Because obviously it's not. So someone's got to actually play this and let the world know that this is not being a reactionary. I have given it the best shot it could possibly have, and it's horrible. I made it all the way to rank A. That's as high as you can go. So there is no argument that I did not do my due diligence. And unsurprisingly, the more of a chance you give the game, the worse it is. So like, comment, subscribe, hype, and let's talk about why the ranked mode is so bad. So let's begin by explaining what is even going on here. The ranked multiplayer, the only way to play with other people other than private matches, is a 4-player free-for-all. You get 1 point for knocking out an enemy Pokemon. That's it. There's nothing else. You don't lose a point for fainting. You don't get any points for dealing damage. You can die 3 times, 1 to each opponent, and then you get 1 kill steal, doing 2 damage the entire fight, and you have now tied the game. They genuinely made a multiplayer game where the only objective is kill stealing. The most annoying part of probably every video game. And in a game where kill stealing is the primary objective, what if I told you if you run in a circle, no one can hit you, except for a very limited range of moves. As long as you are moving when your opponent targets you, they can never hit you. So I don't know if you're putting the puzzle pieces together, but a legitimate strategy is to run in circles, doing nothing, wait for your opponents to start fighting each other, and then just steal the kill. I'm in a ranked match. One of the players go AFK. Little Timmy here realizes he can get free points off the AFK player. Unfortunately for Little Timmy, I'm the Sweat Lord here to keep him from getting his favorite Pokemon's Mega Evolution. So he hits the opponent once, moves, and then I immediately steal the kill and kill him too. 2 points for me from doing nothing. I just stood there and waited. I do this multiple times, by the way. Little Timmy does not learn. So basically the entirety of the lower ranks is just running in circles, watching little Timmys fight each other, and then stealing all of their kills. But what happens when people figure out this strategy? When everyone's just running in circles waiting for other people to fight? Well, you have one other option, and that's to one-shot. No one can steal your kill if you feint them in one hit. So the meta is to use a boosting move, or just use a Pokemon so strong that they always get the one-shot, and you only ever attack if you know you'll get the kill. And if not, remember, run in circles. They cannot hit you. So how are you going to ever get that one-shot if everyone's running in circles and you can't hit them? Well, you have a handful of moves that cannot miss, like Thunderbolt. Though if you notice what's on screen right now, Xerneas, the big deer, will never die to Thunderbolt. So instead, you run around in circles, wait for your opponent to try and one-shot someone else, which causes them to stop running, and then you one-shot them. Or if they never stop running and you're lucky, 2 players or even 3 can team up on the one person running and you can pincer them. Great game design. Incredible. Well, if everyone's looking for one-shots, there's a really good way of throwing them off, and that's playing Pokemon that can never be one-shot. That way you can bait them into trying to one-shot you, which means they're not running in circles anymore, and you can then one-shot them. Truly genius. Except not really, because remember, you don't lose points for dying. So not dying doesn't actually help you that much. So sure, they think they're gonna one-shot you and then they don't, but then someone else will just steal the kill. So maybe that one guy didn't get a point, but someone else did. You gain very little. I guess it does help in those rare 1v1s that basically never happen. And since you're just going to be running around, you might as well use a reflect or a boosting move or something. Although not as good of an idea as it sounds, because those still stop you in place just enough time to then get one shot by some random person coming from nowhere. It is a free-for-all after all, but I would say the defensive mon's still pretty common. So if you have all of these Pokemon that cannot be one-shot but are still taking very large hits, the last piece of the meta are tiny Pokemon that run around real fast so you can never hit them, and all they do is kill steal. So I don't know if I painted a good enough picture for you here, but the entire meta of the game is either one-shotting people, running around in circles, getting your kill stolen, missing over and over and over again on the tiny guy who's just running in circles, all while you're winning or losing basically entirely depends on who is deciding to feed to whom. You could be doing great, never losing, picking good targets, but then little Timmy decides to run his Dragonite into the Ice-type guy 20 times, gifting your opponent the victory, and there's nothing you can do about it. You can't stop your opponent from dying, and through all of this, of course, you can switch, which just turns your one shot into a half shot, and then someone steals the kill. Great. Oh, and of course there's Mega Evolution, which makes the Pokemon invincible for some reason, making you miss your one shot, and then someone else steals the kill with their one shot. And all of this I've described is sort of assuming you're playing with competent people who are trying to win, but that's not the reality. Oftentimes, it's find the weakest person out of the 4 people, and then just bully them over and over again. If this was a game made by intelligent people, you would lose a point if you died. That way you could find the person in the lead and gang up on them. Instead, you find the worst player in the lobby and you one-shot them as soon as they spawn, because that's the easiest way to get points. The multiplayer is literally designed for bullying little Timmy into not getting his Mega Evolution, or at least that's how it should work. Because winning is not how you rank up. It can help, but it's definitely not necessary. How the ranked works is you start at rank Z and you make your way through all the letters up to A, and you rank up by getting points you receive for completing challenges. You do not have to win to get points. In fact, I have a clip from the first season of the game where I get 1 kill and go AFK for the rest of the match, and I gained rank. I lost 10 points for getting 3rd, somehow didn't get last, but got 20 points for completing challenges, because you get 10 points for every Pokemon kill. So it is basically impossible to lose rank. In fact, now it is impossible. Somehow that wasn't good enough for people. Again, this should be evidence that the ranked mode is insufferable, that it's basically impossible to lose rank, and people were still complaining that they had to play it too much. Because now, even for getting last place, it's minus 0 points. You get 10 points for knocking out a Pokemon. All you had to do was knock out 3 Pokemon and you would never lose rank. And that's assuming you never Mega Evolve, because that's 10 points. You never knock out a Mega Evolved Pokemon, because that's an extra 10 points. You don't pick up any items, that's another 10 points. But the game is so miserable that people can't even do that bare minimum. So they removed it. You don't lose any points, ever. Which sounds good, right? That means everyone can get the rewards. No, it's not. Ranks exist for a reason. It's for separating the Timmies from the Sweat Lords. You do not want little Timmy facing against me. He's not gonna have a good time. People who just want to have fun are inevitably going to fight against Sweat Lords with Xerneas like me. It is fun for nobody. It's not fun getting teamed up on and obliterated by 3 people, and it's also not fun to see who can kill the noob fast enough and losing your mind because he decided to feed against this guy instead of you. It may take a while, but inevitably every little Timmy will be in the same rank as the guy with no life who plays this game competitively. I know this is supposed to solve the problem of little Timmy never being able to get his favorite Mega Stone, but maybe you shouldn't have locked it behind the ranked mode to begin with. Yeah, but then you wouldn't have to buy Switch Online to get them. So who cares about the player experience when you get more money? Isn't it so weird? I can play any Steam game on the planet online with no cost. How could they do it? Must be magic. Now, although I've criticized the combat a lot, they have done some things to mitigate the problems. There are different arenas, and some of them are very small, so you can't run around anymore. Doesn't really fix anything, though, because now who gets the kill is basically random. If it's a one-shot ability, it's whoever hit it first. And if it doesn't one-shot, it's the person who hit it second. And sometimes you don't actually know. No one's throwing out the calcs for these, because it's dependent on your opponent. Did they EV train? Do they have perfect IVs? Are they built defensively or offensively? Are they going to switch? You don't know. Why the multiplayer fails spectacularly is it's a game where winning is dependent on your opponent's failures. Because dying does not make you lose a point, you playing well is less important than your opponent playing badly. There's nothing you can do about someone feeding. In fact, sometimes feeding is optimal. I've given out so many points with my Gyarados, who gets one shot from Thunderbolt from anywhere because it's an unmissable attack. But Gyarados gets me a lot of points, and I don't care if I give the person in last place a free point every 30 seconds. That way I get first, and then someone who had no right getting second gets second, and someone who played well the entire time ends up getting third or fourth. And there's nothing they can do about it, all because I want to use Gyarados, and they don't have someone who has Thunderbolt, or maybe they even do and they're just not quick enough, or I'm targeting them the whole time. I feel like I've done a pretty good job of establishing that the ranked mode is bad, but was there ever any hope to begin with? Or is Legends ZA just have a bad combat system? And I think it's a little of both. The ranking system itself is terrible. Why do you get points for losing? If you want to make money off Switch Online, just lock the Mega Stones behind a number of games played and keep it as a regular ranked system. That way the little Timmies fight against the little Timmies, and the Sweat Lords like me play against other Sweat Lords. And then, what should be completely obvious, you should lose points for dying. At the very least, if they don't want a game full of just extremely defensive Pokemon that all deal 1 damage to each other, make it so you get 2 points for a kill and lose 1 point for dying. There has to be some punishment for feeding. Other than that, I don't think there's much they could have done. Pokemon ZA just has the worst action combat it possibly could have. It plays like an MMO. Why does Tackle have charge time? The best way to judge the quality of a combat system is the multiplayer, because there is no greater opponent than another person. People will analyze and innovate and push the combat system to its limit in order to beat each other, discovering all of the flaws and intricacies as they go. And Legends ZA has clearly failed that test. A test that Pokemon, despite all of its flaws, normally does not fail. Pokemon has a great multiplayer. There is a competitive scene for every Pokemon generation ever. You can play Gen 3 Pokemon multiplayer right now. There are still people playing 10 years later because Pokemon has always had good combat. The games don't really take advantage of that, but the combat itself is good. Nobody's gonna be playing this in 10 years. The majority of people that even try it, drop it as soon as they get the Mega Stones. So if that's the only reason anyone's playing, how much do you actually have to play to get the content that's already in the game that should be available by literally any other means? Well, to get Greninjite, as soon as it came out, it was to rank K, and this was back when you could rank down, so it could take technically forever if you're not good enough. The reality, if you're not little Timmy, it took, I don't know, 20 minutes? Well, that was clearly too much for people. So in Season 2, you can get the Greninjite from rank Y, so that'd be about 4 minutes. Technically, you can still get 0 points from a game, but you'd have to basically just be AFK, do nothing at all. Now, to get the Delphoxite, you have to get to rank S. So about 15 minutes, maybe 10. Remember, you cannot rank down at all. There is no losing points. All you have to do is play. And yet they keep reducing how much you have to play to get the items. It's almost like they're admitting it's bad. They know it's bad. They know no one can stand to play this for more than 15 minutes. I mean, it's a joke. How can you argue with me when the developers themselves know no one can stand to play this? I basically lost my mind getting to rank A, and it took less than 2 hours. I only have 2 hours of footage, and that's with me upgrading my team, IV training them, EV training them. I took a couple breaks because you can only stand to play this for so long, and still less than 2 hours. The whole point of a ranked mode in any multiplayer game is its endless content. It gives you a reason to play against other people, a constant sense of progression, and even that very small thing they messed up. 2 hours a month is nothing. This is a pointless feature. It shouldn't even be in the game. Maybe a fun add-on to a complete product, but this isn't a complete product. The main game's already terrible, and then this just adds insult to injury. Now, in fairness, most people will take much longer than 2 hours. By this point, I had already caught every Pokemon. I already had all of the EV training items I could want, so making the team did not take long. I also just Googled whatever the best team was, because I didn't want this to take long. I was kind of lazy about it, so all I looked up is what the Pokemon were, not really the moves they were supposed to know or the EV spread or whatever, but it was still certainly much better than people just picking their favorites. As for IV training, I really only did that halfway through when I noticed I wasn't getting the one-shots I wanted. And those items I got just from winning multiplayer battles. I think by the end of my entire ranked experience, I only got 3rd place 2 times, and I never got 4th, ever. In one of those 3rd places, I got more than I did 2nd place most of the time because of how the point system works. I am not alone, by the way. You can see in these clips how many people are using the exact same Pokemon as me. And if they're not using the same as me, they're using the same as each other. You'll see the same 10 Pokemon in every clip. Once you reach rank N, 3 out of 4 people are all using the same Pokemon. I got real tired of seeing Xerneas real fast because even little Timmy wants to play with his new legendary Pokemon. So the vast majority of your games will have this one Mon, which means everyone's going to play a Pokemon to counter it, meaning you'll see Metagross in nearly all of your games. At least that has some variety though. Sometimes it's a steel type of some other kind, maybe even a poison type. Either way, I'm just saying it's not only me ruining the game for everyone. Plenty of other people, in fact the majority, are ruining it for everyone. Not that it was good to begin with. The game is not all of a sudden fun because they one-shot you with Emboar instead of Xerneas. What I'm trying to say is I intentionally played this in such a way that I could limit the amount of time I spent torturing myself. So if you did actually enjoy torture, you could probably get more than 2 hours out of this. Or if you're really bad at video games, it could easily take you double or triple the time it took me. In conclusion, worst game ever, bad main game, bad multiplayer. Big surprise. This video is a part 2 to the review I already made because I never talked about the multiplayer mode because I didn't play it, but at a certain point through my own insanity, I decided to 100% the game. It kind of got to me. People saying that I rushed through the game, barely even played it, didn't play the side quests, didn't really give the game a real chance. Well, now I've completed the ranked mode, and it was much worse than I ever thought it'd be. And in the next video, not literally next, because a bunch of games are coming out, but after those will be the 100%ing ZA video, where the game is not better, it is much, much worse. So subscribe to see that, and bye.